Guys. Thank you for attending our seminars. I would just like to make some announcement prior to the commencement of Sir Karim's seminar for tonight. Okay, so ayan, we would like to thank the other 13 schools who were not included in the list of schools. No, we have a total of 317 schools already. Pero na-omit po yung mga ito, paumanhin po sa mga students who enrolled with us from these schools. Okay, first is St. Paul University, Philippines, University of Manila, Philippine Christian University, Manila, University of Makati, International School of Asia Pacific, Peña Blanca, Our Lady of the Pilar College, Union College, Santa Cruz, Laguna, Manuel S. Enverga University Foundation in Lucena, Our Lady of Fatima, QC, Cagayan de Oro College, PINMA, Lyceum of the Philippines, Cavite, Christ the King College of Gingoog City, and University of Eastern Philippines main campus. Okay, thank you also for the 76 Latin Honor reviewees who trusted Rayo. Okay, so before we proceed, let me first clarify to those who are always asking us na pwede pa bang humabol. Actually guys, there are no late enrollees in Rayo. Kasi ganito po siya, the semester for May 20 for May board exam covers November to May. That is the normal usual length of the May exam. Okay? Kaya lang ang ginawa po namin sa Rayo is we allowed an early access. Binuksan po namin yung database namin as early as August, itong August 21, para sa ganon yung mga mas mahabang para mas mahaba yung oras ng preparation. We are giving you parang 3 months for you to be able to finish the program earlier para ma-double nyo yung madoble nyo yung review niyo. So to cut the story short, wala pong late sa atin kasi nga tayo ay self-paced, Self-paced tayo. Meron kaming ibibigay sa inyo na parang na study plan, suggested study plan. Okay? And it's up to you to tailor it based on your available time or sundan nyo yung aming guides, Okay? So kayo yung magde-determine ng oras ng inyong paggamit ng app, Depende sa oras ng availability nyo yung takbuhan, wala po tayong ini-schedule po dito. So walang naiiwanan. Okay, so i-clarify lang po natin yun. Pwede po kayong pumasok sa Rayo, okay, even after August 31. Actually, we are accepting enrollments until December for May 2021 CPA exam. Okay? So, ganun po siya kapatid. So our tuition fee of 13,000 na yan is actually reasonably priced kasi parang 2 semester po yung haba ng ating review, Okay? Hinabaan po namin kasi kailangan natin na doblein, We are giving you the chance to double your review by going back again, doon sa mga natapos para ma-master niyo before the board exam, Okay? And yun, mayroon kaming hard copies na ipo-provide guys, We will send you hard copies. Basta nandito sa Pilipinas, papadalhan ka po namin, okay? That is already part of your tuition fee. We are not charging you a separate fee for that. Okay? So, yun po, In addition to that, classroom based po tayo hindi po ganitong seminar setup ang review natin doon, Okay? May mga subjects tayo na masyadong theoretical based, like for example, RFBT. Meron po kayong parang may parang ganitong setup siya because of the extensive enumerations, But for problem solving subjects, like for example, taxation, yung mga MS ganun afar, all of them are using board illustrations, Magdi-discuss po kami. Now, if you want to see how our board lecture works, please check my presentation, my discussion on gross income doon sa Rayo page. Nandun po siya, panoorin niyo po yun, Okay, para makita niyo sa sarili niyo kung paano siya mag-work. Okay, guys? So, ganun po. Now, lastly, I just want to emphasize, na the Rayo apps, ang app natin po dito sa Rayo, ay kami po yung first na fully functional apps sa Pilipinas. Kami po, nandun yung video. Nandun na po yung video, nandun na po yung mga tawag dito, nandun na rin po yung mga materials na kailanganin mo, tapos meron ka pang separate po na handouts. Okay, hindi mo kailangan ang desktop, when preparing for the board exam, hindi ka mangangailangan ng desktop para mag-review, no? By your phone na lang, no? Yun na po, no? Hindi mo kailangan ang printer para o coupon ban o ink para mag-imprenta ng mga kailanganin mo, no? We provide everything. You just need your phone. So with your phone na lang, basta may internet access ka, okay na po, wala nang problema. And one thing more, hindi lang po kami Google, no? Hindi lang kami Android phones, no? Our apps are available in both Apple and Google apps. So I'm emphasizing this, we are the first Philippine integrated app. Kompleto po kami, videos, nandyan na, quizzers, nandyan na, concept, nandyan na. Hindi lang po puro quizzer. Okay? And hindi lang po Google lang, hindi lang po Android. Okay guys, so that's it guys. No, thank you for the interruption. Salamat and God bless. Okay? So please enjoy the webinar of Sir Karim. Good night guys.
Okay, so hey, good evening guys. I hope you are all doing well amidst this pandemic. So sana maayos naman lahat ang kalagayan ninyo. So di ko na kayo kayang isa-isahin kung kamusta kayong lahat. So if you have any concerns, accounting related or non-accounting related, as much as possible, you can message me. Wag lang mangutang, wala akong pera. Anyways, so sige, let us start. So for today, we will discuss brand new topic under financial accounting. So we will discuss government grants. And remember that government grants or accounting for government grants are under PAS 20. Okay, the title of the standard would be Accounting for Government Grants and Disclosure of Government Assistance. Okay, so before we discuss what are government grants, so tanggalin ko ito, medyo nagre-reflect kasi sa akin. Let us first discuss what are government assistance. Okay, so government assistance is acted by the government to designed to provide an economic benefit specific or entities qualifying under certain criteria. Sir, nakakahilo naman yung definition na yan na nilatag ng PAS 20. So I would like to emphasize the word benefit specific. Okay, so ibig sabihin, para mag-qualify ang isang action ng government assistance, by that action should be specific to the entity. Sa Tagalog, kasi maraming actions ang ginagawa ang government on our everyday living. Para ma-classify siya as a government assistance, the benefit should be specific to the entity. So medyo parang may pagka-selfish yung definition na nilatag ng PAS 20. Kailangan ako lang ang nagbe-benefit. Kailangan yung entity lang yung nagbe-benefit at wala siyang ibang kahati. Napaka-selfish naman nun, sir. Kasi para masabi mong government assistance, kailangan ikaw yung tinutulungan. Kasi pag marami natulungan, assistance yun, project ng gobyerno yun. Tama ba? Para masabing assistance, it should be specific. The benefit should be specific to the entity. Kaya naman, nagbigay din ng examples ang PAS 20 ng government assistance sa hindi government assistance. Okay, isa-isahin natin. Let us start first doon sa examples na binigay niya that qualify or marketing advice. So obviously kapag nagbibigay ng free technical or marketing advice ang government, it is common sense na specific yung benefit na makukuha mo doon. Kasi ikaw yung binigyan ng advice eh. So common sense, it is specific for the entity. Pangalawa, provision of guarantee. For example, si entity gustong mangutang sa bangko. Okay, so yung bangko nag-aalangan pautangin siya. So ang naging guarantor niya would be a government agency. So ibig sabihin, that action provided by the government is considered to be specific. Tama kasi ako, guarantor ko ang gobyerno. So we have a guarantor-guarantee relationship. Okay, so ibig sabihin, the benefit is specific. The assistance is specific for the entity. So kumbaga yun lang ang gusto kong i-point out sa definition ng government assistance. Kailangan specific yung benefit. Otherwise, it will not qualify as a government assistance. Another example would be, mag-comment lang kayo since live naman tayo sa Facebook. Pwede kayo mag-comment if medyo may problema sa aking pag-discuss kasi may lumilitaw sa akin dito na internet is unstable. So kindly comment kung meron man tayo nagiging problema during our webinar kasi nakatutok din naman ako sa Facebook Live. Anyways, share ko lang. Anyways, number 3, example would be government procurement policy that is responsible for a portion of the entity's sales. Anong ibig sabihin ng government procurement policy na yan? Kumbaga naglabas ng executive order, naglabas ng policy ang government kung saan yung product mo ay tatangkilikin ng bansa, certain province, and etc. Kaya naman kung titingnan natin, that action is specifically benefiting the entity. Kasi nag-declare siya ng policy, bumili kayo ng product sa ganitong kumpanya, and etc. etc. So obviously, kung titingnan natin, the government is responsible for that increase in sales. Okay, so again, these examples are classified as government assistance. Next, medyo choppy lang. Nako, naglalag tayo, patay tayo dyan. Okay, next. Pag-usapan naman natin ano yung mga examples ng hindi government assistance. Number 1 would be infrastructure in development areas such as improvement to general transport and communication network. For example, tayo ng bagong tulay ang gobyerno malapit sa kumpanya mo, malapit sa factory mo. At ang naiisip mong benefit nun, syempre, mas magaan ang pagdi-deliver mo ng goods sa iyong customer, mas magaan yung pag-deliver ng supplier mo ng iyong mga raw materials. So kumbaga, definitely, it is beneficial for the entity. But take note, the benefit is not specific. It benefits the general public. Kaya nga, obviously, ay general transport. So it is only beneficial, it is not beneficial for the entity but rather for the general public. Kaya siya hindi pwedeng, naku, robot po yung voice. Lag pa rin ba tayo? Naku, tama yan, wala tayong natanggap na government grant. Kaya hindi improve ang ating internet connection. So sana okay na, sige, siguro as much as possible, ulitin ko na lang kaya. Okay? Sige, ulitin ko lang for the benefit of those na medyo late and then naglalag din natin. Before we discuss government grants, discuss muna natin government assistance. Definition, government assistance is defined as any action by the government designed to provide an economic benefit, yun nga lang, specific to the entity. Government assistance specific for the entity, kailangan yung entity lang ang mismo nagbe-benefit. So medyo selfish, sabi ko nga kanina yung definition na binigay ng PAS 20. Kaya nga, kasi tulad ng free technical or marketing advice, obviously the benefit given by that action specific to the entity. Doon din sa pangalawa, provision of guarantee, obviously it is specific. Kasi guarantor mo yung gobyerno nung nangutang ka sa isang bangko o sa isang institution din. Another one would be government procurement policy, wherein nag-declare ng policy o ng executive order o whatsoever ang gobyerno, wherein sinasabi niya that a certain area or a certain province or certain location should buy your product. So obviously, the government is responsible for an increase of the entity's sales. And then nagbigay din ng examples ang government 20 ng hindi government assistance. Number 1 would be infrastructure in development areas such as improvement to the general transportation network. Sabi ko nga kanina, okay na. Salamat naman. Okay? Kasi medyo maulan kasi, no? Medyo maulan na ganito no? Hindi. Medyo ma-share ko lang, nakakatuwa talaga yung Pilipinas. Nasa ibang, kahit nasa pinakaloob ka ng CR, abot ang internet di ba? Partida, hindi pa LTE yun. Dito, nasa CR ka lang, masama lang pinto, wala na. Anyways, I'm not parang galit naman, hindi man ako nagrarant. Let us go back to our discussion. So example ko kanina, kung naalala mo, for example, nagtayo ng bagong tulay yung government malapit sa yung factory or malapit doon sa business establishment mo. It is beneficial for you because mapapagaan yung transport ng iyong finished good or pag-deliver ng iyong product sa mga customer mo at mapapagaan din yung pag-deliver ng supplier ng mga raw materials na kailangan mo. But unfortunately, this government project or this government action is not considered as a government assistance dahil it is beneficial not specifically for the entity but it is beneficial for the general public. In our general kasi it is not so if the benefit is the general public, then it is not a government assistance. Pangalawang example, imposition of trading constraints on competitors. Sir, anong ibig sabihin nun? Ito hindi ko sinasabing mangyayari ito in the near future. Hypothetical lang po. O for example, binan ng government ang McDonald's dito sa Pilipinas. So syempre, kung ikaw ari Jollibee, then definitely you are considering that action by the government as beneficial. Tama ba? Automatically matutuwa ang Jollibee kasi main competitor mo yun eh. Yun nga lang ang problema. Hindi lang ikaw ang matutuwa. Other competitors, whether direct or indirect competitors, matutuwa rin kasi mas lalaki yung market share nila pag nawala si McDonald's. So kung titingnan natin, this government action, yes, it is beneficial, but it is not specific. Okay, the benefit for the general public, hindi siya para sa iyo lang. Nagbe-benefit din ang iba. Kaya siya hindi considered as government assistance. Okay, pangatlo, last na, would be improved facilities such as irrigation for the benefit of an entire local community. Ito na, nakalagay na nga sa mismong ginamit na word na standard eh. It is beneficial for the entire local community. Kumbaga, buo sa action na ito. So obviously, it is not a government assistance. No, so ang gusto ko lang point out dito is that in order again to qualify as a government assistance action, the benefit, the action provided government be specific to the entity alone. Kaya hindi ibang entity rin ang nakikinabang doon sa action ni government. Okay, so we are now done. So okay naman na siguro. Sana magdasal tayo na sana maging okay na tong lumabas na naman. Your internet connection is unstable. Ano ba naman yan? Nakakatawa talaga dito. Well, anyways, don't you worry. For those who are already enrolled in REO, sabi nga ni Sir Rex kanina, hindi po ito ang magiging setup natin. Kasi natin yung ganitong in the long run. Tulad nga ngayon, pwedeng internet connection ko, pwedeng unstable ang internet connection nyo. Okay, kaya pag doon sa REO, ang setup natin would be app-based. Okay, sa applications, meron tayong sa applications, represent export subject, naka-on yung mga video lectures. So, ang gagawin mo lang, i-access mo lang and then papanoorin mo. So, kumbaga, kung sakali mang merong unstable ang internet connection mo that time, pwede mo muna ipagpaliban, mag-aral ka muna ng ibang materials, and kapag nag-stable na, saka pwede mo na siya ulit i-access. Kaya na yung kagandahan nung setup natin sa REO. Hindi siya ganitong setup kasi yung ganitong setup napakarami talaga nitong limitation. Limitation on the reviewer's part and also limitation on the reviewer's part. Anyway, share ko lang ulit yun. So now we are done with the definition of government assistance. Ako, lag na naman. Ano ba naman yan? Ako, magpagdasal natin na sana maging okay na ito. So we are done with the definition of government assistance. Now, let us proceed to the definition of government grants. Ayan. According to PAS 20, government grants, aka subsidy, subvention, or premium, are assistance by government in the form of transfer of resources to an entity in return for part or future compliance with certain conditions relating to the operating activities of the entity. I would like to point out that government assistance are government grants rather are government assistance. Doon pa lang sa definition, obviously, as nakalagay na nga, are assistance by the government. Ngayon, ang tanong, sir, kung ang government grant ay government assistance, then sir, ano ang distinguishing factor nila o ano ang distinguishing factor ng government grant as we compare it to your government assistance? Take note, ang nagpapaiba sa government grant, sa government assistance would be the word transfer of resources. Okay, take note that what distinguishes government grant from government assistance is that government grants can be reasonably measured. Kasi kung papansinin mo kanina, yung mga examples ng government assistance na binanggit ko, most of them cannot be reasonably measured. For example, free technical or marketing advice. How can you reasonably measure it? Kasi ang nagbigay ng advice, ang nagbigay ng advice government. So generally, wala namang market yun. Tama, si government ang nagbigay, hindi naman private institution eh. So obviously, kung titignan natin, pag sinabing government grant, these are government assistance that transfer resources. Nagta-transfer ng resources ang gobyerno doon sa entity. That resources could be cash or non-cash asset. Okay, so yun yung tinutukoy nating government grant. Merong transfer of resources. Kaya nga government grants can be reasonably measured. Ngayon ang tanong, bakit nag-transfer ng resources ang gobyerno sa business? Bakit siya nagbigay ng resources sa iyo? Pwedeng meron kang kailangang i-comply na certain condition or pwede namang wala lang. Nagbigay lang siya basically ng ayuda. Kaya ngayong ayuda, generally kung nakatanggap ang business mo ng ganon, it is classified as a government grant because it is an assistance beneficial to you, specific to you, and it involves a transfer of resources. Pangalawa, always remember, kakabanggit ko lang din kanina, all government grants are government assistance. But not all government assistance are government grants. Kasi kung titingnan natin, yes, by definition, lahat ng government grant, government assistance. Pero hindi lahat ng government assistance ay government grants. Kasi may mga action ng government na walang involvement ng transfer of resources sa entity. And if that's the case, it is not classified as a government grant, but rather a government assistance. So always remember, ang nagpapaiba sa government grant ay yung word na transfer of resources. Because without transferring the government resources to you, it is not classified as government grants. Okay? Next. Pag-usapan natin ano ba ang sakop ng PAS 20. Take note, PAS 20 applies to accounting and disclosure of government grants as well as disclosure of government assistance. Sir, bakit ang government assistance dinidisclose lang? Bakit siya hindi ina-account? Di ba napansin mo? Kasi alam naman natin common sense. Ang PAS 20 nag-a-apply sa government grant. Ang government grant, government assistance eh. So, therefore, we can conclude that PAS 20 applies to both government grants and government assistance. Yun nga lang, ang requirement ng PAS 20, ang government assistance ay i-disclose. Hindi mo kayang i-account ang government assistance kasi sabi ko nga, ang government grant may transfer of resources. The mere fact that the government transferred its resources, you can account it, you can record it, you can assign amounts to it. Unlike government assistance, since walang physical or whatsoever type of transfer ng resources from the government papunta sa iyo, therefore, wala kang kailangang i-account. Kasi it is simply an action by the government that cannot be reasonably measured. So dahil hindi siya kayang i-account, ang sabi ng PAS 20, i-disclose mo na lang. Kasi it is impossible to account government assistance kasi wala nga siyang transfer of economic resources. Unlike government grants, it requires a transfer of resources to qualify as government grant. Kaya nga ang focus ng ating discussion would be accounting and disclosure of government grants. Okay, hindi natin na pag-uusapan yung government assistance kasi ano pang i-account natin dyan? Tama ba? Wala tayong i-account dyan. Ang kailangan lang natin, i-disclose yan. And by the way, hindi ko na ilagay sa PowerPoint ko, but kindly take note na lahat ng government grants sakop ng PAS 20 except government grants related to biological assets. Kasi yung government grants related to biological assets are under PAS 41. The title of PAS 41 is Agriculture. So di ba kung titignan mo, napakaganda ng ng accounting eh. Hindi lang tayo talaga puro numero. Nagiging magsasaka tayo, mayroon pang depletion of mineral resources, so nagiging minero din tayo. Di ba? So kailangan hindi lang manufacturing business ang natatamaan mo dito eh. Other certain or specific industries, medyo nahagip na rin natin on our discussion. And anyways, let me go back to my discussion. Napakwento na naman ako. I'll repeat, lahat ng government grants sakop ng PAS 20. Ang hindi lang niya sakop ay government grants related to biological assets. Kasi those government grants are accounted for under PAS 41. Actually, wala na kasi tayong time, pero if you have time to read PAS 41, you can actually see na iba ang accounting ng PAS 41 sa government grants nila sa government grant accounting under PAS 20. Totally different. And if you will enroll in REO, I can discuss that. Papakita ko yung difference ng accounting ng PAS 20 sa accounting ng PAS 41. So nakahiwalay yung mga government grants ng mga hayop at halaman na yan. Di ba? So nakahiwalay sila. Ang sakop lang ng PAS 20, government grants related to PPE, intangible assets, investment properties, and etc. Yun, sakop ng PAS 20 yun. Pero biological assets, hindi. Under na yan ng PAS 41. Okay? So we are done with the scope. Pag sinabi nating scope, ano ba yung sakop ng standard? And by the way, if you will enroll in my subject, if you will enroll on my review, ganito yung magiging format natin palagi on our discussion. Magsisimula tayo sa definition. After definition, pag-uusapan natin yung scope. After scope, pag-uusapan natin recognition, and then measurement, accounting, presentation, disclosure. Kasi ang paniniwala ko dapat ganun dapat aralin ang financial accounting eh. Kailangan meron kang flow of information or flow of discussion para kapag pinagsama-sama na siya doon sa inyong brain, hindi ka nalilito. Kumbaga pag sinabing inventories, anong definition inventories, anong recognition, accounting, presentation, disclosure. Okay, kailangan ganun yung flow ng iyong pag-aaral sa financial accounting. Kasi financial accounting, wala tayong magagawa. It is purely standard-based. So you need to follow and you need to understand the standard in order for you to master financial accounting. Anyway, so that would be our flow kung sakali mag-i-enroll kayo. Next, pag-usapan natin, when do we recognize government grants? According to PAS 20, government grants shall be recognized when there is a reasonable assurance. Take note, hindi certainty ang hinihingi sa iyo ng standard. Ang sabi ng standard, if you are reasonably assured with the following, then you can recognize government grant. Okay, so ano yung mga requirement na yun, sir? Number one, when there is a reasonable assurance that the entity will comply with the conditions attaching to the grant, and there is a reasonable assurance that the grant will be received. Di ba kung iisipin mo, kung iintindihin mo yung sinabing recognition criteria ng standard, kung papansin mo, medyo maluwag ang PAS 20. Tama ba? Medyo maluwag ang PAS 20, excuse me. Paano mo nasabing maluwag? Kasi hindi naman nire-require ng PAS 20 that you are 100% sure na magko-comply ka sa condition. Ang nire-require lang niya, at least you are reasonably assured. At least kahit papaano, alam mong magko-comply ka. Kaya ganun yung gustong sabihin ng government grant. At kung titinan mo, obviously, lahat ng government grant pwedeng i-recognize. Tama kasi ikaw entity. Ikaw, entity, ikaw ang nag-a-assess kung magko-comply ka ba sa condition. Anong assessment mo? Siyempre, lahat ng assessment mo, magko-comply ka. Tama? Kasi kapag sa assessment mo, hindi ka magko-comply, hindi mo pwedeng i-recognize yung government grant. Di ba sir, parang ang daya ng PAS 20. Parang napakaluwag ng standard pagdating sa recognition. Huwag kang mag-alala. Hindi okay lang na parang maluwag yung recognition niya kasi kung iisipin mo, alam naman natin na pwedeng ngayon, iniisip mo magko-comply ka, pero in the future, darating ang isang problema that will create a situation na hindi mo na mako-comply yung grant. Paano na yun, sir? Kung titingnan natin, napakaluwag ng recognition eh. Okay lang na ganon kasi mamaya, for our last topic, we will discuss what we call as repayment of grant. Okay, so repayment of grant happens when the entity did not comply with the conditions attaching to the grant. Kumbaga, ang sinasabi lang ng PAS 20, kung pakiramdam mo magko-comply ka, go, i-recognize mo. Kung pakiramdam mo lang, if you are reasonably assured. Kasi huwag kang mag-alala, kapag hindi mo yan na-comply, automatically meron ding parang solusyon ang standard dyan. Papasok yan under repayment of grant. Kaya kumbaga huwag kang matakot. Okay? Huwag kang matakot na mag-recognize ng grant. Kasi pag hindi mo na-comply yung condition, then definitely papasok ka sa repayment of grant. To be discussed later on. Okay? And take note, the mere receipt of a grant that does not of itself provide conclusive evidence that the conditions attaching to the grant have been or will be fulfilled. Okay, so anong ibig sabihin nun? Pwedeng, for example, and mas madalas, nare-receive mo na in advance yung grant. Tapos sasabihin sa'yo ng gobyerno, dapat ito yung condition. Ang condition ay, for example, magtanim ka ng puno for 5 years. Okay, tapos ang kapalit nun, bibigyan kita ng 10 million. May possibility na ibigay sa'yo ng gobyerno in advance yung 10 million. And if ever na ganun ang senaryo, the mere fact na na-receive mo in advance yung grant does not provide any conclusive evidence na ikaw mismo magko-comply ka sa conditions attaching to the grant. Kumbaga, hindi ibig sabihin na na-receive mo in advance yung grant, magpo-fulfill ka sa condition. Kasi remember, promises are meant to be fulfilled. Okay, not meant to be broken, meant to be fulfilled. Yun nga lang, there are instances kasi na hindi mo talaga siya na-fulfill. Kaya even though sa part ni government, nag-fulfill na siya ng kanyang obligation, nabigay na sa iyo yung grant, hindi ibig sabihin nun na ikaw mismo mag-fulfill din, susundin mo rin yung condition attaching to the grant. Kasi ibang obligation niya, ibang obligation mo. Okay? So again, I'll repeat, medyo maluwag ang recognition criteria ng standard. But don't you worry. Basta feeling lang, may reasonable assurance ka na mag-comply ka, pwede mo na siyang i-recognize. Pero okay lang kung sa dulo, hindi mo siya ma-comply kasi meron namang remedyo ang standard. Papasok yan sa repayment of government grants. Okay? So sige. So we are done with recognition. Let us proceed to measurement of government grants. Take note, government grants could be monetary or non-monetary. Pag sinabi natin monetary grants, so obviously ito yung grants that can be measured in monetary or it can be measured in monetary terms. Ano example nun, sir? Example would be cash. Pwede ang ibigay sa iyo ay cash. Actually, itong measurement na discussion natin, this topic pertains to what to debit. Kaya ang pag-uusapan natin dito, ano ang ide-debit mo? Depende sa kung ano yung na-receive mong government grant. Tama ba? Kasi for example, naka-receive ka ng cash sa government, ano ide-debit mo? Siyempre, debit, cash. Ngayon ang tanong, how do we measure cash? Diba? I think mas malamang alam ng karamihan sa inyo, ang measurement ng cash ay face value. Pwede rin naman ang natanggap mong government grant is in the form of receivable. Paano mangyayari yun, sir? For example, si government may receivable na gantong amount kay gantong entity. Sabi ni government, Entity A, ikaw na ang mangolekta ng utang ni Entity B sa akin. So ibig sabihin, pinasa ng gobyerno yung right to collect niya sa'yo. So ibig sabihin, ang government grant na natanggap mo, receivable. So ibig sabihin, ang i-debit mo, receivable. At ang receivables ay measured at fair value. So kumbaga, I'll repeat, dito sa topic na to, itong measurement topic, ang pinag-uusapan talaga natin, what to debit. Okay, ano ang i-debit natin? Yun nga lang, pagka-debit mo, may corresponding measurement yon. Okay, so kasabay ng kung ano yung i-debit, nakakabit kung ano yung kanyang measurement. Pangatlo, pwede namang forgivable loan. Ano ibig sabihin ng forgivable loan? For example, ikaw, meron kang utang kay government. Sabi ni government, nako, entity A, wag mo nang bayaran yung utang mo sa akin. So kung titignan mo, kung may utang ka sa government, meron kang loans payable account. Di ba credit balance yon? So kung sinabi ng government na wag mo nang bayaran yung utang mo, yung credit balance ng loans payable, i-debit mo na. Tama. At anong measurement? Siyempre, yung carrying amount ng loan. Kung magkano pa yung utang. Kung ang utang mo pa 100,000, ang i-debit mo 100,000. Pero ang i-debit mong account would be loans payable. That is what we mean by the word forgivable loan. Pag sinabing forgivable loan, may utang ka sa government, pero sabi ng government, wag mo nang bayaran. Therefore, ang i-debit mo would be the loans payable account you initially credited nung nangutang ka sa gobyerno. Okay, so okay pa naman tayo, guys. So medyo at least wala na akong nababasa na naglalag. Praise the Lord, di ba? At least nakikisama na sa atin yung internet connection. Kasi nakikita na internet connection na kailangan natin. You are all eager to learn. So kumbaga nakikita na internet connection yun. Di ba? Kalokohan mo, sir. Last one. Last one would be loans with zero interest or interest below market rate. So kumbaga, yung forgivable loan, nangutang ka na sa government previously. Dito, sa loan with zero interest or interest below market rate, mangungutang ka pa lang. Sinabi ng government nung nangutang ka, nako, hindi ko napapatungan ng interest. Diba? Is that a benefit? Yes, that is a benefit. Is it beneficial? It is specific to the entity? Yes, it is specific. So, ibig sabihin, government assistance siya. Ngayon, meron bang transfer of economic resources? Walang physical transfer of resources. Kasi kung titingnan natin, kapag ang loan may zero interest, it creates a discount account. Tama? At ang discount account would be a debit. A discount account is, ang normal balance niya ay debit. So kumbaga kung titignan mo, kapag ang loans with zero interest or interest below market rate, ang iyong naging government grant, ang i-debit mong account would be the discount on loan payable account. And the discount on loan payable account is the difference between the face value of the loan and the present value of the loan. Kaya nga kapag na-encounter mo to sa government grant, you have no choice but to compute the loan's present value. Because the difference between the face and the present value is the discount on loan payable. Unfortunately, wala na kasi tayong time, hindi ko na siya nailabas sa exercises. But syempre, if you will enroll with REO, lahat yan tatamaan natin. Lahat ng uri ng grants pag-uusapan natin. What I am giving you is an overview. Okay, overview, pero kahit pa paano, medyo malalim na rin yung discussion. Kasi limited lang yung time natin, 2 hours lang. Anyways, next. Pag-usapan naman natin yung non-monetary grants. Pag sinabi natin non-monetary grants, ang natanggap mo, non-cash assets usually. For example, PPE, intangible asset, or investment property. At lahat sila, ang kanilang measurement ay fair value or nominal amount plus direct cost. For example, nakatanggap ka ng land from the government. So obviously, anong i-debit mo account? Debit land. Anong measurement, ano raw ang measurement ng land? Definitely, ang measurement could be fair value or nominal amount plus direct cost. Pare-pareho silang lahat, whether land, building, machine, basta non-monetary grants or non-cash asset, ganun ang measurement nila. Okay? So we are now done with the debit side. Kasi ang pinag-usapan natin sa measurement, what to debit. Ngayon, ang pag-usapan natin, what to credit. Okay, and kung ano ang i-credit mong account, nakadepende yan sa accounting for government grant. Always remember, according to PAS 20, government grants are recognized in profit or loss on a systematic basis over the periods in which the entity recognizes as expense the related costs for which the grants are intended to compensate. Naku sir, ang lalim na naman. Actually, yan ang nagiging problema natin sa financial accounting eh. Ang lalim. Masyadong technical yung wordings na ginamit ng standard. Pero kung iintindihin mo, napakadali ng accounting for government grant. Accounting for government grant is all about the matching concept. Ano ibig sabihin ng matching concept? Ibig sabihin, if there is no recognition of related expense, huwag ka munang mag-recognize ng income from government grant. Or simply, hanggat hindi na-fulfill yung condition attached to the grant, so definitely, ang credit mo muna ay deferred income. Kasi kapag na-fulfill mo na yung condition or kapag ikaw ay nakapag-recognize na ng related expense, ang i-credit mo na ay income from government grant. I'll repeat, kanina ang pinag-usapan natin what to debit. Ngayon ang pag-uusapan natin what to credit. Kasi ang i-credit mo lang naman dalawa eh. Either deferred income from government grant or income from government grant. When we say deferred income, unearned income yon. Kaya hindi mo pa siya income ngayon, magiging income mo siya in the future as you recognize the related expense because we are following the matching concept na kapag walang recognition ng expense, wala ding income from government grant. Kaya nga nagbigay ng scenarios ang PAS 20 kung paano ina-account ang government grant eh. At mamaya, as we read all of them, mapapansin mo, ang bottom line niyan, it is all about matching concept. Hanggat walang recognition ng expense, hindi ka magre-recognize ng income. Kaya nga diba, napakadali ng accounting for government grant. Just remember the word matching concept. As long as walang expense, for the last time, wala pang recognition ng income from government grant. So saan muna itatago yun, sir? Lahat nakatago sa unearned income from government grant. So for example, nagbigay ng land, binigyan ka ng land ng government at ang condition ay magtanim ka ng puno for 5 years. Siyempre, kapag nagtatanim ka ng puno, obviously, meron yung cost. So hanggat hindi mo na i-incur yung cost ng pagtatanim ng puno, lahat yung value ng land, yung fair value ng land representing your government grant, lahat nakakredit muna sa deferred income. Magiging income o earned income siya as the related expense were already incurred. Without recognition of expense, walang recognition of income. Period. Kaya yun lang ang tatandaan mo sa pag-account ng government grant. For example, nagbigay ng scenarios ang standard eh. Number 1, grant in recognition of a specific expense shall be recognized as income over the period of the related expense. Tagalogin mo yon. Kapag ikaw raw ay nakatanggap ng grant related recognition of expense, ang pag-recognize daw ng income is over the period kung saan na-recognize mo yung related expense. Ano example ng letter A, sir? For example, meron kang parang project kung saan lilinisin mo yung certain creek na malapit sa business establishment mo. Nanghingi ka ng assistance, nanghingi ka ng ayuda sa gobyerno para tulungan ka sa project na ito. For example, binigyan ka niya ng 100,000. So yung 100,000 na yan, i-recognize mo as you recognize the related expense nung paglilinis nung creek malapit sa business establishment mo. So di ba kung titingnan mo, ano ang bottom line? Without recognition of expense, wala ring recognition of income. Matching concept. Okay, next, letter B. Grant related to depreciable asset. Assuming ang natanggap mo ay depreciable asset as a form of government grant. I-recognize mo raw yung income in over the periods and in proportion to the depreciation of the related asset. Kumbaga, hanggat hindi mo dine-depreciate yung asset, hindi ka magre-recognize ng income from government grant. Kasi kapag nagde-depreciate ka ng asset, anong expense ang nakikreate? Diba ang nakikreate na expense ay depreciation expense. So without depreciation expense, walang income matching principle. No-brainer, sir. Napakadali lang pala ito. Suko na naman ako, sir. Suko na naman ako. Napakadali. Sumuko ko sa sobrang dali. Okay. Letter C. Grant related to non-depreciable asset requiring fulfillment of certain condition shall be recognized as income over the periods which bear the cost of meeting the condition. So kumbaga, nakatanggap ka ng non-depreciable asset. Parang example ko kanina, nakatanggap ka ng land. So nung nakatanggap ka ng land, assuming ang condition, magtanim ng puno for 5 years. So hindi siya systematic. Kung ang gagawin mo, i-divide mo lang yung income over 5 years. No, that is not systematic. Kaya nga ginamit na word ng standard, systematic basis. Kasi ang systematic basis ay dapat proportional ang pag-recognize mo ng income in relation sa pag-recognize din ng expense. Kumbaga, as you recognize income, dapat merong recognition na ng related expense. And again, that is matching concept. So kung medyo nalalabuan ka pa sa pinagsasabi ko dito, I hope hindi naman sana, mamaya mapapansin mo as we answer our sample exercise, marirealize mo, oo nga, tama si sir. This is all about matching concept. Okay, last na. A government grant that becomes receivable as a compensation of expenses or losses already incurred or for the purpose of giving immediate financial support to the entity with no further related cost shall be recognized as income of the period in which it becomes receivable. Ano ibig sabihin ng letter D? For example, yung business mo na daanan ng isang malakas na bagyo. So it will create casualty losses. Tama ba? It will create property losses. So sabi ng letter D, kung binigyan ka ng gobyerno in relation doon sa casualty losses na yan, wag mo na raw siyang i-defer. Diretsong recognize mo na siya as income. Bakit pwede ko na siyang i-recognize as income? Kasi ano bang dahilan kung bakit ka binigyan ng pera ng gobyerno? Kasi nagkaroon ka ng previous losses. Di ba ang losses ay classified as expense? So kumbaga, ang point ng letter D, since na-recognize mo na previously yung expense, pwede mo na siyang i-recognize as income. Provided wala ng future related cost na kailangan pang i-incur. Kumbaga yun lang yun. Talagang binigyan ka niya dahil naawang gobyerno as or in the form of immediate financial support, kaya binigyan ka ng ganung pera. Dahil nagkaroon ka ng property losses in the future. In the past. So di ba kung titinan mo anong bottom line lang ng accounting, it is all about matching concept. So you need to follow this concept na pag walang recognition ng expense, wala ring recognition ng income from government grant. Okay, so last discussion na, last concept na, pag-usapan natin presentation and then lahat ng diniscuss natin, i-apply natin on our sample exercise. Okay, with regards to presentation of government grants depends whether it is classified as grant related to asset or grant related to income. Ito na naman ang standard. Kung titignan mo, ang standard sobrang tamad mag-define. Anong ibig sabihin ng sobrang tamad mag-define? For example, nabangga ko. Okay, for example, current asset, non-current asset. 'Di ba ang may definition lang sa PAS1, sino ang current asset? Kung sino ang current asset. Ang non-current asset, palaging residual definition lang. Di ba naglatag ng 4 na criteria ang PAS1? So kumbaga, kung yung item wala sa criteria 1, criteria 2, criteria 3, criteria 4, hindi siya current asset. Anong classification niya? Non-current asset. Palaging ganun ang standard. Kung may dalawang classification, yung isa lang ang i-define niya. Yung pangalawa, residual definition na lang. For example, grant related to assets. These are grants whose primary condition is the entity qualifying for the grant should purchase, construct, or otherwise acquire long-term asset. Kumbaga, if the condition is to purchase, or to acquire long-term asset, then obviously it is classified as grant related to asset. Mamaya, pansinin mo kung ano ang definition ng grant related to income. Pero uunahan na kita. Mamaya makikita mo ang definition ng grant related to income, grants other than grant related to asset. So kumbaga kapag ang grant hindi tungkol sa pagbili, paggawa o pag-acquire ng long-term asset, hindi siya grant related to asset. Siya ay grant related to income. Ganun ka simple, ganun katamad mag-define ng standard, which is tama naman eh. Ba't ko pa i-define yung isa? Basta kung hindi kayong isa, ikaw yung kabila. Di ba ganun lang kasimple ang thinking ng standard setting body. Magpapakahirap pa akong mag-define ng dalawa. Kung dalawa lang naman ang classification, kung hindi ikaw to, ikaw yung sa kabila. Di ba? Napakasimple. Di ba? Matalino rin yung gumawa ng standard eh. Di ba? Anyways, so in relation to presentation of grant related to asset, It could be gross presentation or net presentation. Ano ibig sabihin, sir, ng gross saka net presentation? Pag sinabing gross presentation, the grant is presented initially as a liability. Ano yung liability? As a deferred income. Di ba? Unearned income or deferred income is classified as liability. Then later on, the income from government grant is reported separately in other income. Sa net presentation, sa net presentation ng grant related to asset, initially, yung grant binabawas na as cost of the asset. Kaya nga siya tinawag na net presentation. Kaya tinawag siyang net presentation kasi yung mismong government grant binawas na, ninet na doon sa cost ng asset. Sa gross presentation, nakahiwalay yung recognition ng asset sa recognition ng government grant. Dito, yung grant mismo binawas na sa cost ng asset. Kaya naman, sa net presentation ng grant related to asset, wala nang deferred income from government grant. Therefore, the income from government grant was already deducted from depreciation expense. Kaya siya tinawag na net presentation. Net presentation siya sa balance sheet, net presentation din siya sa income statement. Ano ibig sabihin nun, sir? Pansinin mo, kung tutuusin sa balance sheet, dapat iba yung presentation ng asset, iba yung presentation ng deferred income, yung liability. Sa gross presentation, ganon. Ganon din sa gross presentation sa income statement. Nakahiwalay yung expense sa income. Sa net presentation, hindi. Sa balance sheet pa lang, nakanet na siya. Binawas na yung grant sa cost ng asset. So kumbaga, ang ipe-present mo lang sa balance sheet, asset na lang. Wala nang liability kasi binawas mo na nga sa cost ng asset. Pagdating sa net presentation, since wala ka ng deferred income, imposible magkaroon ka ng income from government grant. Ang i-recognize mo na lang, depreciation expense na lang. Kasi nabawas na dun mismo yung income from government grant. Kaya siya tinawag na net presentation. Pagdating naman sa grant related to income, medyo kakaibang grant related to income. So grant related to income, by residual definition, this is government grant other than grant related to asset. Diba, napakatamad ng standard. Ganon din ang grant related to income. Gross presentation din siya, or net presentation. Yun nga lang, pag grant related to income, whether gross or net presentation, initially, the grant is presented as a liability. Sir, parang nakakalito naman yata yun. Hindi talaga siya technically nakakalito. Kung isipin mo kasi kanina sa grant related to asset, ang grant related to asset kasi may tama sa balance sheet at income statement. Ang grant related to income kasi generally, income statement lang ang tinatamaan yan. Bakit, sir? Kasi wala kang pwedeng i-offset na asset sa grant related to income kasi nga wala namang asset na involved. Kanina kasi sa grant related to asset, di ba may asset ka, may liability ka. Yung liability mo yung deferred income from government grant. So pag net presentation, inet mo na. Pagsamahin mo na, ipagbawas mo na. Dito kasi, kahit na net presentation, yung grant related to income, ang nininet mo na lang yung income statement. Wala kang pwedeng in-net presentation sa balance sheet kasi in the first place, wala namang asset na involved. Dito, ang involved lang, liability lang. So para kang timang nun. Tama? Paano ka mag-offset ng liability kung wala namang asset? Kaya naman yung word na net presentation, pag grant related to income, it applies only to income statement. Kaya nga pansinin mo, sa net presentation, yung income from government grant, binawas na ulit, ninet na ulit from the related expense. So kumbaga, I'll repeat, ang grant related to asset, ang tama niya, balance sheet income statement. Kaya nga kapag nag-gross presentation ka sa grant related to asset, sa balance sheet, hiwala yung asset, hiwala yung liability. Pagdating sa income statement ng gross presentation, hiwala yung expense, hiwala yung income. Sa net presentation ng grant related to asset, since net, dapat lahat nakanet, sa balance sheet, net na. Bawas na yung liability. Sa income statement naman, net na ulit. Bawas na yung expense ng income. Kaya dito, sa grant related to income kasi, Income statement lang ang tinatamaan niya. Kaya nga through common sense, kahit na mag-net presentation ka sa balance sheet, hindi mo magagawa kapag grant related to income kasi wala namang involved na asset. Kaya ang net presentation ng grant related to income sa income statement lang, wherein yung related income, yung income from government grant, binawas na sa related expense. Okay? So we are done with our discussion, okay, on definition, scope, measurement, recognition, and presentation. Pagsama-samahin natin lahat ng diniscuss natin by applying it on exercise number 1. But take note whether gross or net presentation, bago ko makalimutan, yung net amount na papasok sa profit or loss is the same. Remember this statement kasi tinatanong sa board exam madalas to. Always remember whether gross or net presentation, the net amount presented in profit or loss is the same. Okay, so sige. Kung hindi mo naintindihan yung explanation ko kanina, which I hope hindi naman sana, i-apply natin lahat ng pinag-usapan natin on our sample exercise. At dito mo ma-appreciate, dito mo ma-realize na oo nga, tama lahat ng sinabi ni Sir. Lahat ng diniscuss niya, lahat ng sinagutan niya, na-discuss niya a while ago. Okay, so sige, let us start with our sample exercise. During the current year, 2019, Argentina received, take note, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. Wow, grabe sir. 4 government grants in relation to its operating activities. And dahil 4 na government grant to, pagpasensya nyo na hindi siya kasya sa isang slide lang. So yung mismong given information natin, umabot ng 2 slides. So as much as possible, para hindi tayo pabalik-balik, pag natapos natin isang slide, I will give you enough time para i-screenshot siya. Hindi ko na kayo bibigyan ng time para kopyahin na kasi anong oras tayo matataas pag kinopya mo. Screenshot na lang para mamaya makasunod ka pa rin sa discussion natin relating to this exercise. So meron daw 4 na grants na natanggap si Argentina during the year. Grabe naman to, ang sipag naman ito manghingi sa gobyerno. Grant number 1. On January 1, 2019, Argentina received cash of 2 million from a foreign government. Take note when we say government grant, it could be local grant or foreign grant. Pag sinabing local grant, nakuha mo yung grant from local government. Pag foreign grant, nakuha mo yung grant from a foreign government. So hindi siya limited sa local government lang. Ang government grant nag-extend hanggang foreign government. Anyways, from a foreign government to be used in helping the company's clean up drive project. Taray, on Manila Bay. Napakabait naman ng kumpanyang to. Lilinisin ng Manila Bay. Good luck. May pag-asa pa yung Manila Bay. Over a 5-year period. It was estimated that the total cleaning cost is 5 million. During the year, the actual cleaning cost amounted to 1.5 million. So again, take note of this one. That would be our related information on the first grant. Next, second grant tayo. On April 1, 2019, Argentina received 5 million. Ako, magkano na? 7 million na yung natatanggap niya from the local government to be used in purchasing a production equipment. The equipment was purchased on the same day with a total cost of 10 million to be depreciated using the straight line method over 10 years with a residual value of 1 million. So again, paki-screenshot na po muna o kung kaya mong kopyahin, di much better, pero dito wala tayo ganong karaming oras. So kindly screenshot the first slide for our sample exercise. 10, 9, binilangan, pressure. Anyways, so I assume ganun naman kabilis lang naman mag-screenshot. So let us proceed, let us continue. Third grant. On May 1, 2019, Argentina received a land from the government with a condition that a factory building, should be constructed on it. On that date, the land has a fair value of 3 million. The construction of the factory building was completed on October 1, 2019 with a total cost of 8 million. The building is to be depreciated using SYD method over its useful life of 15 years. So, syempre, mamaya, magkakaroon tayo ng konting recap sa SYD method. Kasi malamang, baka naalala mo na lang, straight line na lang. Last grant na, fourth grant. On November 30, 2019, various properties of Argentina were destroyed due to flood, the estimated amount of which is 1.5 million. On December 15, the company received 500,000 from the government as a financial aid. Requirements, letter A, determine the total income from government grant for the year 2019. Letter B, determine the balance of deferred income from government grant as of December 31, 2019. And letter C, the net amount presented in profit or loss for the year 2019 under gross and net presentation. So, ang magiging diskarte natin sa pagsagot nitong sample exercise na to would be, we will answer the requirement, we will journalize everything under gross and net presentation per grant. So kumbaga, uunahin natin yung first grant under gross and net presentation. Then second grant under gross and net presentation, and so on and so forth. And after natin ma-journalize lahat, saka natin didiskartihan kung paano sasagutan yung letter A, letter B, saka letter C. Okay, unahin natin yung first grant. Okay, so let us answer the first government grant that Argentina received during 2019. Okay, take note, sinabi ng government grant, ng first government grant, that Argentina received cash of 2 million at ang condition ay hindi bumili o hindi mag-construct ng asset. Tama, ang condition ay ano? Gawin o pangtulong sa company's cleaning up project during the year. So, ibig sabihin, if it is not related to the construction or purchase of asset, then the first grant is classified as grant related to income. Tama ako? I think binanggit natin kanina, kapag hindi related sa pag-construct o pagbili ng asset, grant related to income yun. So, let us journalize the entries during 2019, assuming gross presentation tayo. Di ba kapag grant related to income, sabi ko nga kanina, ang tama lang talaga nito ay sa income statement. Sa balance sheet, talagang liability lang halos ang iyong makikita. And take note, pagdating sa ating i-journal entry, nakadepende yan sa measurement sa accounting. Sa measurement, evaluate mo muna ano ang natanggap mo. On January 1, 2019, ang natanggap mo ay cash. So definitely, that is debit cash. At anong measurement ng cash? Face value. Magkano yung cash na natanggap mo? 2 million. Okay, so debit cash, 2 million. Ngayon yung credit, nakadepende sa accounting. Nakadepende sa matching principle. Yung expense ba, na-incur mo na o mai-incur mo pa lang in the future? Obviously, the answer ay mai-incur mo pa lang. Dahil mai-incur mo pa lang yung expense, wala pang recognition ng expense. Obviously, tama, wala ka pang expense na nakikita sa aking journal entry. So dapat kung wala pang expense, ang credit ko muna hindi pa income. Itatago ko muna siya sa DIGG, hindi DILG, iba 'yon. DIGG is deferred income from government grant. Okay, so again dyan mo muna ilalagay kapag hindi pa na-recognize yung related expense. So debit cash, related sa measurement yan kasi measurement answers what to debit, and then yung sumasagot sa what to credit, accounting. Na ang accounting, depende nga sa matching concept. Kung wala pang expense, wala pang income. So itago muna sa deferred income. Okay, next. Pura tayo ng December 31, 2019. Sir, ano meron ng December 31? Siyempre, tinotal mo na lahat ng nagastos mo related to the clean-up drive. And during the year, ang iyong nagastos na expense ay 1.5 million. So malamang ang credit niyan, credit cash ng 1.5 million. Sir, meron na pong recognition ng expense. Dahil meron ng recognition ng expense, pwede ka na bang mag-recognize ng income? Yes, that is matching concept. So ngayon, magki-credit ka na ng income from government grant. So IGG na ang gagamitin natin. So ngayon, ang tanong, sir, paano ang recognition ko ng expense? Ay, paano ang recognition ko ng income? Sinabi, sir, over 5 years eh. So ang gawin ko na lang, sir, 2 million divided by 5 years. Naloko na. Hindi mo pwedeng gawin, hindi mo siya pwedeng i-recognize sa ganung paraan. Bakit hindi pwedeng i-recognize sa ganung paraan, sir? Kasi hindi siya systematic. When we say systematic, it is somehow related to the word proportional. Paano proportional? Ine-expect ng company na ang total na expense na magagastos niya, 5 million. Out of 5 million, ang na-recognize niya na 1.5 million. And 1.5 million divided by 5 million, it means 30% pa lang ng total expense ang iyong na-recognize. Eh di ba ang sabi ng standard, systematic dapat ang basis natin? So kung 30% pa lang ng expense ang na-recognize, dapat ang income mo, 30% lang din ang i-recognize mo. Kaya ang sagot natin sa income from government grant ay 600,000. So nung i-debit natin, sir, debit DIGG. Malamang saan mo kukunin yung IGG? Sa deferred income. Kasi kung ang isang income ay hindi na deferred, it is already considered as earned. Kaya nga from unearned, magiging earned na siya. From deferred income from government grant, ililipat mo sa income from government grant. Okay, so sa pag-compute ng income from government grant, it is not simply divided by 5 years. Unless ganun ang ginamit na basis sa pag-recognize ng expense, walang problema. Eh kaso hindi eh. Ang ginamit natin proportional basis. So kung 30% pa lang ng expense ang na-recognize, 30% lang din ng income ang dapat i-recognize. Okay, so this is what we call as gross presentation. Next, puna tayo sa net presentation. Pag sinabing net presentation ng grant related to income, supposedly dapat yung liability ibabawas sa asset. Eh hindi naman grant related to asset to eh. So technically wala ka talagang pagbabawasan o pagdededaktan na asset. Therefore, ang entry sa January 1 would be the same. Debit cash, credit, DIGG. Kasi wala ka namang pagbabawasan na asset kasi hindi naman siya grant related to asset. Pagdating ng December 31, 2019, ganun ulit ang senaryo. Okay, ito total mo lahat ng nagastos mo, 1.5 million. Pero ito na. Pagdating ng December 31, 2019, since meron ka ng expense, pwede ka na mag-recognize ng income from government grant. But take note, dahil net presentation tayo, always remember, pag net presentation, walang income from government grant. I'll repeat, walang income from government grant kapag net presentation. Kaya bakit walang income from government grant? Kasi ibabawas na yung income from government grant sa related expense. So, ibig sabihin, instead na income from government grant ang ikikredit mo, yung expense na mismo ang ikikredit mo. And then debit DIGG amounting 600,000. Okay? So again, I'll repeat, pag sinabing net presentation, walang income from government grant. Yung mismong income binawas na sa related expense. Pero ito ang pansinin mo. Whether gross or net presentation, pansinin mo, magkano ang pumasok sa profit or loss? Sa gross presentation, ang pumasok sa profit or loss, expense na 1.5 million and then income na 600,000. So ang net amount na pumasok sa profit or loss ay net expense na 900,000. Dito, sa net presentation, pansinin mo, ang pumasok sa profit or loss, expense lang. Tama? At magkano environmental expense? 1.5 million debit minus 600,000 credit. Magkano yung pumasok? 900,000 din. So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, whether gross or net, same amount pa rin ang papasok sa profit or loss. At kung papansinin mo, palagi ang net expense. Wala kang makikitang government grant na net income. Kasi napakamalaking kalokohan nito. Kung titingnan mo, project mo yan eh. Tinulungan ka lang ng gobyerno. Kasi kung mas malaki pa ang binigay ng gobyerno sa nagastos mo, ay hiyang-hiya naman ng gobyerno sa'yo. Proyekto na ng gobyerno yan. Hindi mo proyekto yan. Tama, project mo to eh. Project ng kumpanya na linisin yung Manila Bay. So ang ginawa lang ng gobyerno, tinulungan ka. Binigyan ka ng financial aid or financial assistance. Kaya you expect na mas malaki pa rin ang expense mo kaysa income from government grant. Kasi nakakatakot kung mas malaki ang income sa expense kasi pinagkakitaan mo pa yung gobyerno. Naku, hiyang-hiya ang gobyerno sa'yo. Sa'yo na nga ang credit na ikaw ang naglinis ng Manila Bay, income ka pa. Naku, nakakahiya naman sa'yo, di ba? Sabi ng gobyerno, hiyang-hiya naman sa'yo. Diba? So, ibig sabihin, you expect na palaging mas mataas ang expense kaysa income dito. Kasi ang ginagawa lang ng gobyerno, tinutulungan ka. The government is giving you a helping hand. Hindi kanya talaga mismo Hindi talaga siya mismo yung lahat na gagastos. Binibigyan ka lang niya ng ayuda, okay, ng financial aid or financial assistance. Therefore, you expect mas malaki ang mas malaki ang expense kaysa sa income. Okay? So this would be the accounting for the first grant. Next, let us proceed to the accounting of the second grant. Okay? So take note, pag binasa mo yung second grant, sabi niya on April 1, 2019, Argentina received 5 million cash from the local government to be used in purchasing a production equipment. So ibig sabihin, ang requirement ng gobyerno is for the entity to purchase an asset. So kung ganun ang requirement, ganun ang condition, then the second grant is classified as a grant related to asset. Okay, so grant related to asset yan, yung journal entry natin ulit under first gross presentation and then later on net presentation. Now, sa grant related to asset, ang tama nito parehong balance sheet sa income statement. Ang grant related to income, anong sabi ko kanina, income statement lang talagang tinatamaan niya. So kung titingnan natin, kung gross presentation yan, hiwalay yung asset, hiwalay yung liability coming from deferred income from government grant. So on April 1, 2019, ang natanggap mo ay cash. Tama, the entity received cash amounting to 5 million. Ngayon, ang condition ay bumili ng asset. Kung titignan mo, pagkabili mo ng asset, ini-expense ba kagad yun? Hindi. Di ba? Kaya nga asset eh. Sa asset mo muna itatago. Dahil wala pang expense, saan muna ipapasok yan? Okay, papasok muna natin sa deferred income. Hindi pwedeng income kagad kasi wala pang related expense. So credit, DIGG. Then later on, dahil bibili ka ng asset, okay, so debit equipment, 10 million, credit cash, 10 million. Kaya nga, di ba kung titingnan mo, technically speaking, ang nilabas mo lang para mabili yung equipment, hindi 10 million, 5 million lang talaga. Kasi binigyan ka ng gobyerno ng 5 million cash. So technically, 5 million lang talaga ang nilabas ng entity. Palaging ganun. Kasi ikaw makikinabang ng equipment, bibiling ko lahat ng 10 million. Hindi, bibigyan na kita ng portion. Parang ayuda o tulong ko na sa'yo. Yun nga lang, sa part mo, hindi pa kagad income yon kasi wala pang related expense. Okay, so from April 1, punta tayo ng December 31. Anong meron sa December 31? Siyempre, magre-recognize ka na ng depreciation expense. At ang depreciation method na gagamitin natin ay straight line over 10 years. So I think alam niyo naman siguro paano mag-compute ng depreciation expense under straight line. That is cost minus residual value divided by useful life. Ang cost ng asset, 10 million. Minus residual value na 1 million, that is 9 million. Divided by 10 years, that would be 900,000. Yun nga lang, yung 900,000 for 1 whole year yon. Remember, nag-start ka lang ng April 1, 2019. So, ibig sabihin, from April 1, 2019 lang hanggang December 31 lang ang recognition ng depreciation expense. Kaya ang computation ay 900,000 times 9 over 12 or 675,000. Then credit, accumulated depreciation, 675. So obviously, meron ng expense. Pwede ka na bang mag-recognize ng income? Yes, pwede na. So definitely, credit income from government grant, which is kapareho ng formula o kapareho ng way ng computation mo ng expense. Kaya nga always remember this one. Kung ang depreciation expense is based on straight line, ang computation ng income, straight line din. Kung ang depreciation expense based on SYD, ang income SYD din. Kasi kumbaga yung income nakadepende lang sa recognition ng expense eh. So kung paano mo ni-recognize yung expense, ganun din ang recognition ng income. Hindi mo ba na-realize ngayon yon? Kanina sa first grant, di ba 30% lang ng expense ang na-recognize. Kaya ang income, 30% lang din. So palaging pareho sila ng computation ng expense. Hindi pwedeng hindi. Kaya nga kung for example, natanggap mo yung grant, example lang, natanggap mo yung grant January, binili mo yung asset April. Kahit na ganun ang senaryo, kahit na January 1 natanggap mo na yung grant, ang computation ng income from government grant mo, 9 over 12 pa rin. Kasi sumasabay nga siya sa expense. Pero kung titingnan mo, di ba parang out of rationale na yun eh. Kasi January 1 pa lang, nandyan na sa yung pera eh. Pero hindi ka pa rin magre-recognize ng income hanggat walang recognition ng expense. So naka-pattern ang pag-compute ng income basically sa computation ng expense. Na even though 1 year na outstanding yung pag-compute ng income, basta 9/12 to, 9/12 pa rin yung income. Kumbaga, ang gagawin mo lang talaga dito, i-substitute mo yung 9 million, ay i-substitute mo yung 5 million sa 9 million. Kaya madali ang accounting sa government grant eh. Yun lang ang tatandaan mo eh. Matching concept, tas pareho lang sila ng computation. Okay na again, ibabawas mo sa DIGG. Okay? Next, punta tayo sa net presentation. Okay, sa net presentation, sabi nga natin kanina sa grant related to asset, yung mismong grant binabawas na sa cost ng asset. Kaya sa April 1, ang journal entry mo, hindi ka na magki-credit ng DIGG. Ang credit mo na mismo yung equipment account na. Kasi later on, pagbili mo, kung titingnan mo, ang equipment mo, ang initial measurement na lang, 5 million na lang, hindi na 10 million. Binawas mo na yung natanggap mong pera as a government grant. Okay, bakit binawas na? Kasi kung iisipin mo, yun naman ang purpose ng government grant eh, para magbigay ng tulong, para mabawasan yung ilalabas mong pera para mabili yung equipment. Yun yung rationale ng net presentation. Kaya instead na mag-present ka ng liability account, ibawas mo na lang kagad siya sa asset. Pero kanina sa first grant, sa grant related to income, ganyan ba ang ginawa natin? Hindi. Kasi wala namang related asset na pwede kang pagbawasan kasi grant related to income siya. So yung pagbawas sa asset, sa grant related to asset lang yon nag-a-apply. Okay, so next, punta tayo ng December 31, 2019. Kung titignan mo, ang computation and depreciation expense is now based on depreciable amount of 4 million. Saan nanggaling yung 4 million? Ang cost mo, 5 million na lang. Tama, hindi pwedeng 10 million kasi nagbawas ka ng 5 million. So 5 million na cost minus residual value na 1 million, that would be 4 million divided by 10 years times 9/12 pa rin, 300,000. Credit accumulated depreciation, 300,000. Pansinin mo, meron ka pa bang i-recognize na income from government grant? Common sense, wala. Paano ka magkakaroon ng IGG? Wala ka na ngang DIGG. Tama ba? That is common sense eh. Paano ka magre-recognize ng income from government grant kung wala ka namang deferred income from government grant? But even though na gano'n ang senaryo, pansinin mo, magkano ang net amount na pumasok sa profit or loss? Doon sa gross presentation, that is 675 minus 375, 300,000 na expense ang pumasok sa profit or loss. Sa net presentation, wala nang income. Expense na ang pumasok. At magkano? 300,000 din. Diba? Again, ang point ko, whether gross or net, same amount ang papasok sa profit or loss. Okay, wala. No-brainer to, sir. Alam ko na kung anong mangyayari, sir. Madali lang pala talaga to. Kaya ang sabi sa inyo, madali ang government grant. Ang medyo challenging lang ng konti, mga 1% lang, yung repayment. Pero yung accounting ng government grant, just follow our discussion. Hindi ka malilito. Okay, next. Third grant tayo. Okay, if you will read the third grant, ang sabi niya, on May 1, 2019, Argentina received a land from the government with a condition that a factory building should be constructed on it. So again, merong construction ng asset, kaya yung third grant ay grant related to asset na naman. Okay, so ganoon pa rin ang ating strategy, i-journalize natin under gross and net presentation. Siyempre, dahil nagpa-practice pa lang tayo, naka-journal entry tayo. Pero kapag nagamay mo na to, kapag nagsosolve ka na ng problem solving, mapapansin mo, hindi mo na kailangang mag-journal entry. Yung journal entry nasa isip mo na lang. But anyway, since ini-introduce ko pa lang at pinapractice nyo pa lang, siyempre magsanay kayo sa journal entry. Naging accountant ka pa kung ayaw mo mag-journalize. Diba? Anyways, gross presentation tayo. So, ang unang date natin would be May 9, 2019. Anong meron ng May 9? May natanggap kang land. Kaya kanina sa grant 1 saka grant 2, panay ka siya natanggap mo. Ngayon, land ang natanggap mo. At ang land, ang measurement ay fair value. So, debit land na ang fair value, 3 million. Credit, again, depende kung may expense na o wala. Dahil wala pang expense, kasi itatayo pa lang yung factory, obviously, ang credit mo muna, DIGG. Kaya hindi pa pwedeng income from government grant. Okay, and then, on October 1, that's the time na i-recognize mo na yung building. Debit building na ang cost mo 8 million, then credit cash, 8 million. Okay? So pagdating ng December 31, 2019, ano nang meron? Magre-recognize ka na ng depreciation expense. Ito na. Ang sabi, ang gagamitin natin ay bad trip ito, SYD. So paano ba mag-compute ng depreciation expense under SYD? Under SYD, ang computation ng depreciation expense would be depreciable amount times decreasing number of years divided by SYD. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Pag sinabing decreasing number of years, ang numerator mo is yung highest number nung life. Which is kung ang life ay 15 years, ang numerator mo 15. Next year, ang numerator mo 14. Next year, 13. Kaya nga decreasing number of years, pababa. Magsisimula ka sa pinaka mataas. Kaya nga ang tawag sa SYD ay decreasing charge method. Kaya tinawag na decreasing charge kasi pababa ng pababa ang china-charge mong depreciation expense. Kasi pababa ng pababa yung numerator ng fraction. Kasi yung denominator constant yan eh. Pag sinabi nating SYD, it is simply sum of the years. Pag sasama-samahin mo yung digits nung years, which is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 hanggang makarating ng 15. Which is okay lang naman kung yun yung alam mong concept. Eh ang problema, paano ko ang binigay ng problem? 150 years. Ay naku, aabutin ka ng kopong-kopong bago mo matapos yung computation. Kaya may formula tayo sa pag-compute ng SYD. That is life, na ang life ay 15, plus 1, yung plus 1 constant yan ha, 15 plus 1, divided by 2, yung divided by 2 constant din yan, that would be 8, times life na 15, so ang SYD ay 120. Kahit itry mo pa, kahit na ipag-plus mo yung 1 hanggang 15, 120 ang lalabas dyan. Therefore, ang computation natin ng depreciation expense ay cost minus residual value, since walang residual value na binigay, that would be cost times 15 over 120. So yan talaga dapat yung computation and depreciation expense. Unfortunately, that is good for 1 year. Eh kailan ka lang dapat mag-start ng depreciation? Dapat mag-start ka lang ng October. Kaya naka-multiply yan ng 3 over 12. Kasi October, November, December. Then credit, accumulated depreciation, 250,000. Okay, next. Since meron ng recognition ng expense, pwede ka na bang mag-recognize ng income? Answer, yes, pwede na po ako mag-recognize ng income, sir, kasi meron na pong related expense. So credit income tayo from government grant, na ito yung sabi kong strategy ha. Anong gagawin mo? Yung 8 million, pansinin mo, sinubstitute mo lang o pinalitan mo lang ng 3 million kasi yung amount ng deferred income from government grant. At ito rin yung sinasabi ko kanina. Even though may mo natanggap yung grant, ang magiging multiplier mo pa rin ay 3 over 12 kasi sumusunod yung recognition ng income sa recognition ng expense. Kaya nga ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, even though may yan, ang bilang mo pa rin October. Kasi ang point of view ng standard, October ka pa lang pwedeng mag-recognize ng depreciation ng expense. Therefore, doon ka lang din pwedeng mag-start mag-recognize ng income. Okay, yun ang point kasi ng standard. Hindi ka may mag-i-start. October din. Kasi yun ang starting point ng computation ng depreciation expense. Diba kaya napakadali ng government grant? Pansinin mo, diba parehong-pareho sila ng computation? Anong pinagkaiba lang? Yung 8 naging 3 million. Sinubstitute mo lang. Okay, and the answer is 93,750. And then debit, DIGG, 93,750. Diba wala? Sir, paulit-ulit na tayo, sir. Nakasawa na, nakakaantok na. Walang ka-challenge. Hindi man lang sumasakit ang ulo ko. Diba? Suko na ako, sir, sa sobrang dali. Next and last. Ay, hindi pa pala, sorry, meron pa palang fourth grant. Ano ba, nakalimutan ko na. Net presentation naman tayo ng third grant. So sa net presentation, ganun pa rin, debit lang pa rin. Yun nga lang, kapag net presentation ng grant related to asset, hindi ka na magpe-present ng liability. Diba, ino-offset mo na yung liability, diretsong bawas na kagad sa asset. Kaya magki-credit ka na kagad ng building account. And then sa October 1, magde-debit ka ng building and then credit cash ng 8 million. Okay, and then later on, pagdating ng December 31, 2019, ganun pa rin yung multiplier, 15 over 120 pa rin, 3 over 12 pa rin. Yun nga lang, ang gagamitin mo ng depreciable amount, hindi na 8 million. Kasi ang cost mo na lang, 5 million na lang. Kasi nagbawas ka ng 3 million initially. Okay, and then credit, accumulated depreciation, 156 to 50. And again, this is common sense. Magki-credit ka pa ba ng income from government grant? Yes, kung merong DIGG. Wala namang DIGG eh. Diretsong binawas mo na kagad yung buong government grant sa cost ng asset. So definitely, kung titignan mo yung 156,250, net na siya nung related income. Kasi yun ang rule kapag net presentation. Walang income from government grant kasi diretso bawas na siya sa related expense. Okay? So last government grant na tayo. Pero sige, hinga muna tayo ng 5 seconds. Charot lang. Joke na joke. Hinga muna saglit. Hinga ka lang muna saglit. Basay mo, nagmamadali tayo. Meron pa naman tayong almost 30 minutes or more than 30 minutes pa naman na discussion, di ba? Parang hindi nakakahiya sa'yo kasi pinagod kita, di ba? Tapos naabala kita, di ba? So para at least na susundan natin at nagigets natin lahat. Okay, next. Let us proceed to the last grant. Okay, the fourth grant. Which is madali lang tong fourth grant. Kasi sa fourth grant, kung titignan mo, bakit ka binigyan ng 1.5 million ng gobyerno? Kaya ka binigyan ng 1.5 million kasi meron kang na-incur na losses previously. Tama po ba yon? So, ibig sabihin, dahil wala namang nire-require sa'yo magbili, maggawa, mag-construct ng asset, the fourth grant is again classified as grant related to income. Okay, so ito na, gross presentation ulit tayo. So kung titingnan natin, ang i-debit mo depende sa kung ano yung natanggap mong grant. At ang natanggap mong grant ay cash ulit worth 1.5 million. So debit cash, mali pala, nung November muna tayo, November 30. Kasi natanggap mo yung grant nung December 15 eh. November 30, magre-recognize tayo ng losses kasi nagkaroon ng flooding. Okay, no? So nasira yung properties natin. Credit, various asset na lang. Kasi mali ko ba kung ano yung mga nasira sa yung asset. So, ang ginawa ko na lang, various asset. Pero syempre, sa practice, isa-isay mo kung ano yung mga properties at asset na nasira sa iyo. So, that would be on November 30. Pagdating ng December 31 or December 15, ito na, magre-recognize ka na ng cash worth 500,000. Okay, so nakatanggap ka ng cash as a government grant worth 500,000. Ngayon, sir, ano magiging credit natin? Kung titingnan mo, yung related expense na recognized na. So, hindi pwedeng DIGG ang credit mo. Kasi ang rule, pag may related expense na na-recognize, i-recognize na rin yung income. At wala ka naman ng future expense na i-recognize pa eh. Tama? So, buong 500,000 na kagad ang i-recognize na income from government grant. Nasa net presentation, ang magiging credit mo na ay credit losses na kagad. Kasi kapag net presentation, wala dapat income from government grant. Kung papansinin mo, pag grant related to asset man o grant related to income, walang income from government grant. Diretso siyang bawas sa related expense. Okay? So this would be the journal entries from grant number 1 until grant number 4. Now, after we created the journal entries, let us answer the requirements of exercise o sample exercise number 1. Lecheng yan, sir. Di ba wala pa pala tayo nasasagot na requirement? Yes, wala pa. Journal entry natin yan. Siyempre, for your own practice and for your own understanding na rin. Kasi siyempre, kapag ikaw ay nagpa-practice at minamaster mo na siya, mapapansin mo, minsan di mo na kailangan ng entry. Yung entry nasa isip mo na lang. Kaya ginagawa mo na lang, kino-compute mo na yung requirement ng problem. Na ang gusto ko lang i-emphasize dito, kaya in-entry ko muna siya para ma-appreciate mo yung gusto kong mangyari. Okay, anyways, let us answer the requirement. Ang unang requirement, total income from government grant. Since na-entryhan mo na yan, ililipat-lipat mo na lang. Sa grant number 1, kung naalala mo kanina, okay, gross and net presentation pa rin. Sa grant number 1, ang iyong income ay 600,000. Tama. Please refer to our journal entries a while ago. Sa second grant, 375,000. Sa third grant, 93,750. And then sa fourth grant, 500,000. For a total of, may sound effect pa sir. 1,568,750. Okay, actually, yung next question ng madali. How much is the income from government grant under net presentation? The answer is 0. Tama. Bakit zero? Di ba kakabanggit ko lang kanina, walang income from government grant kapag net presentation. Lumalabas lang ang income from government grant kapag gross presentation. Pero sa theory, kapag sinabing there is no income from government grant under net presentation, that is correct. Pero kapag sinabing there is no deferred income from government grant under net presentation, that is wrong. Kasi may deferred income from government grant kahit na net presentation, basta grant related to income. Kasi pag grant related to asset, yung DIGG wala talaga kasi binabawas na kagad siya sa cost ng asset. Kaya mali yung statement na there is no DIGG kapag net presentation. Wrong. Meron kahit na net presentation basta grant related to income. And I think I already provided proof by using or by presenting to you the journal entries. Kay letter B, na pang sinasabi sir. Kay letter B, what is the total balance of DIGG as of December 31, 2019? Siyempre, pag gross presentation, palaging DIGG. Tama, whether grant related to asset o grant related to income. Na ang gagawin mo lang dyan, ganun pa rin, gross or net presentation. Sa first grant, ang gagawin mo lang dyan, would be yung unang balance mo, yung unang credit mo, tapos ibawas mo yung dinebit natin nung ni-recognize yung income. Okay, na I think 2 million yata yan if I'm not mistaken. Tapos nagbawas tayo ng 600,000 na income, kaya 1.4 million na lang. Sa second grant, ganun ulit, 4,625 naman ang lalabas sa sagot. Sa third grant, 2,906,250. Again na, wag kang sumabay siguro sa computation as much as possible itong mga itong sagot natin sa A, B, and C, summary na kasi ito eh. So for your own checking na to later on. Ang mahalaga, nakakasabay ka kanina doon sa ating journal entries. Okay, and then the fourth grant, wala pong DIGG. Bakit walang DIGG sa fourth grant? Kasi di ba diretso o rekta ka nang recognize sa IGG kasi yung related expense na recognize mo na. So walang DIGG yung fourth grant. Sa net presentation naman, walang DIGG lahat ng grant related to asset. Bakit? Kasi nga, walang DIGG dahil binawas na siya sa cost ng asset. Okay, so ang meron lang DIGG, grant related to income. Di ba ang grant related to income, first saka fourth grant lang? Ang problema, yung fourth grant, wala ring DIGG kasi diretso ka nang recognize sa IGG. So ang merong DIGG balance lang, first grant lang. And then yung tatlo, wala na. Okay, and that's siyempre, the same dapat ang labas sa sagot. Okay, so the answer would be 1.4 million. Okay, last na would be the net amount presented in profit or loss. I think we already answered the net amount presented in profit or loss for the first and second grant. Na napakasimple lang naman kumpitin yan. Ipasok mo yung expense, ipasok mo yung income, ipag-net mo. Diba? Na syempre, kay whether gross or net presentation, kailangan pareho lang ang lalabas na sagot. Hindi pwedeng hindi. Kasi ang rule, whether gross or net, the net amount charged to profit or loss should be the same. Okay? So this would be the answers for our sample exercise number 1. Sir, totally no-brainer. Hindi mo na sumakit ang ulo ko, sir. Sa totoo lang, sir, nantok pa ako kasi napakadali. Yan na ba yun, sir? Wala namang kahirap-hirap. Kaya kung tutusin, maraming topic sa financial accounting na madali lang. Kung pwede lang magkwento saglit kasi baka aral na aral ka na naman eh. Diba? So marami talagang topic sa financial accounting na madali lang. Mukha lang mahirap sa paningin mo kasi medyo technical kasi yung pagkakalatag ng standards atin eh. Kaya nga ganun yung strategy natin kapag nagre-review na tayo sa REO. Papababawin natin sa umpisa para maintindihan mo yung general concept. And that's the time na papalalimin natin. Kasi mahirap pumasok agad sa malalim kasi baka malunod ka. Yung mababaw muna hanggang palalim ng palalim. Diba? So ganun dapat ang strategy. Well, anyways, so we are done with the general concept of government grant. Okay, ito talaga yung general concepts niya. Yung last topic natin would be a isolated topic or isolated area ng government grant. Okay, and that would be repayment of government grant. Okay, kasi hindi naman palagi nagkakaroon ng repayment eh. Okay, nagkakaroon lang naman ng repayment when the promised or when the condition were not fulfilled. Kasi sabi ko nga, promises are meant to be fulfilled, not meant to be broken. Kasi kapag gano'n ang mindset mo, wala ka ng tiwala sa tao eh. Di ba? You need to learn how to trust people. Diba? Because no man is an island. So definitely, dapat ang mindset mo, promises are meant to be fulfilled. Yun nga lang, may mga instances talaga na hindi siya napupulfill. Ganon din dito. Sa government grant, sabi ko nga, sa recognition ng past 20, medyo maluwag yon. Sabi ko, halos lahat naman ng government grant nare-recognize eh. At inaalaw ng standard na medyo maluwag yung recognition kasi meron siyang parang backup plan in case na hindi mapulfill talaga yung condition attaching to the government grant. Kaya nga repayment of grant happens when the entity did not meet the certain condition attached to the grant. And take note, government grants are, repayment of government grants are accounted for as a change in accounting estimate. Oh, medyo kakaiba yun, sir. Bakit naging change in accounting estimate yan, sir? Wala ka namang in-estimate na amount. Tama, yun ang medyo nakakalito eh. Bakit kaya sinabi ng standard na change in accounting estimate ang repayment of grant? In the first place, wala ka namang in-estimate na amount. Tama ba yun ang thinking ng mga estudyante? Yes, wala kang in-estimate na amount. Pero meron ka kasing in-estimate na mangyayari at hindi yun nasunod. Wala akong maalala, sir. Ano yung in-estimate kong mangyayari? Di ba pansinin mo sa recognition? Di ba sa recognition ang sabi, the entity shall recognize a government grant when there is a reasonable assurance that the entity will comply to the conditions attaching to the grant. So kumbaga pag tinagalog, i-recognize mo na yung grant kung feeling mo mamimit mo yung condition. Ang problema, mali ka ng feeling. Tama ba? Kasi hindi mo na-meet literally or actually yung conditions attaching to the grant. So yun yung nagke-create ng change in accounting estimate. Kasi in-estimate mo nung una, ma-fulfill mo, mamimit mo yung condition. Then later on, hindi pala. Isn't that a change in accounting estimate? Tama, change in accounting estimate yun eh. Kasi in-estimate mo nung una, pakiramdam ko, feeling ko, mamimit ko to, kaya ko to, may hit ko yung target. Later on, hindi. Kaya napatunayan mo tuloy na promises are meant to be broken. Di ba kasi hindi mo na meet yung condition ng government grant. So doon sa words na yon o doon sa scenario na yon, nagiging change in accounting estimate ang government grant. And we all know, according to PAS 8, that accounting estimates are accounted for, or change in accounting estimates are accounted for currently and prospectively. When we say current or prospective application, as much as possible, hindi ka lilingon sa nakaraan. Kaya yun eh. Kung ang kaibahan o ang kabaliktaran ng prospective is retrospective. Kaya nga tinawag na retro yun. Pag sinabi mong retro, bumabalik ka sa nakaraan. Pag prospective, hindi. Past is past. Ang mindset mo, past is past. Kailangan ko mag-move forward in the future. Kung meron man akong maling nagawa sa nakaraan, i-correct ko siya in the future. Ang retrospective, hindi. Kung ano yung mali ko nung nagawa nakaraan, babalikan ko yun, itatama ko yun. Okay, ganun ang point of view ng retrospective. Kaya nga kailangan, kasi ang tao ganun din ang mindset eh. May mga taong naka-move on kagad eh. May mga tao na ay nagkamali ako, charge to experience. Kaya may mga tao na hindi, kailangan hanggat kaya ko, itama ko yung mali kong nagawa. So retrospective yun. So ngayon, i-assess mo sarili mo, nasan ka doon? Retrospective o prospective? Okay, na pareho namang tama yun kasi pareho namang inaalaw ng accounting yun. Parehong inaalaw siya ng PAS 8 or PAS 8 on certain circumstances only. And in terms of repayment of grant, the accounting for this one would be prospective. And take note, in accounting for repayment of grants, may dalawa tayong approaches na pag-uusapan. At malamang na dyan si approach 1, saka si approach 2. Okay? So pansinin mo, ang approach 1, nag-a-apply sa grant related to income, whether gross or net presentation, saka sa grant related to asset na naka-gross presentation. Ang approach number 2, pang grant related to asset lang na net presentation. Kasi sir, bakit ganun? Kasi parang medyo understandable o medyo mabilis ko siyang maalala kung, for example, ang nakalagay dyan, approach 1, grant related to income. Approach 2, grant related to asset. Madaling maalala yun eh, pero hindi pa bebe kasi Ang approach 1, pang grant related to income na nga siya, pati grant related to asset pa, pero under gross presentation lang. Yung approach 2, pang grant related to asset lang, under net presentation. So, bakit naging ganun ang scenario, sir? Okay, so let us discuss what is approach 1 and approach number 2. Okay, approach 1 tayo. Under approach 1, repayment of grant shall be applied first against any balance of deferred income and the excess shall be recognized immediately as an expense. Pag sinabi mo po kasing repayment of grant, kung ano man yung natanggap mo sa government initially, ibabalik mo sa kanya yun ng buo. For example, binigyan kanya ng 1 million. Ang condition, magtanim ng puno in 5 years. Pagdating nung ika-third year, pagdating ng ika-third year, hindi ka nagtanim ng puno. So, ibig sabihin, hindi mo na-fulfill yung condition. So, yung buong 1 million na yan, ibabalik mo ng buo yan sa government. Kaya siya tinawag na repayment. Binigay sa yung 1 million, you need to repay it ng buo rin. So, kung titignan natin, mahalaga sa approach number 1 na merong dapat DIGG account. Kasi ang rule, magki-credit ka na kung ano yung natanggap mo nung una and then i-debit mo yung balanse ng DIGG at yung tira would be part of your expense or loss on repayment of government grant. Kaya kung iisipin natin, kaya yung approach number 1 ay nag-extend sa grant related to asset na gross presentation kasi kung isipin mo, silang tatlo yung merong balanse ng DIGG. Kasi nabanggit ko to kanina, ang grant related to income, whether gross or net presentation, may DIGG yan. Ang grant related to asset, ang may DIGG, gross lang. Kasi pagdating sa net presentation, binabawas na yung DIGG sa cost ng asset. Kaya nga silang tatlo, ang papasok sa approach 1, so diyan COVID, nasamid lang ako. So sila yung papasok sa approach 1 kasi ang requirement na approach 1 may balanse ng DIGG. Kasi pag walang balanse ng DIGG, doon ka papasok sa approach number 2. So wag kang malilito. Ang pinaka-summary na lang dito, pag approach 1, ito yung gagamitin kapag may balanse ng DIGG. Pag walang balanse ng DIGG, papasok ka sa approach number 2. And what is approach number 2? Approach number 2, dalawang steps yan. Step 1 is to increase the carrying amount of the asset representing the repayment of grant and the corresponding credit to cash. Ano ibig sabihin ng step 1? Naalala mo yung grant related to asset ng net presentation? Initially, anong ginagawa mo? Di ba pagkatanggap mo ng grant, binabawas mo siya sa cost ng asset. So kung gusto mong, kasi pag sinabi mo sing repayment of grant, as if walang nangyaring walang nangyaring bigayan ng grant in the first place eh. Ganun ang palagi mong i-assume, ganun ang thinking mo sa repayment of grant. I-assume mo na walang nangyaring pagbibigay ng government grant in the first place. Kaya nga 'di ba pansin mo sa approach 1, ganun ang assumption niya eh. Kung gusto kong walang government grant na nangyari in the first place, tanggalin ko yung balance ng DIGG, ibalik ko yung binigay ng government sa akin. Tama, ganun din sa approach 2. Sa step 1, ibabalik ko yung binigay sa akin ng gobyerno, tapos dadagdagan ko yung cost ng asset ko. Bakit ka magdadagdag ng cost ng asset mo, sir? Kasi nung una, dahil net presentation ng grant related to asset yan, binawas mo sa cost ng asset yung government grant eh. Na kung gusto mo na walang, na kung gusto mong as if walang grant na nangyari nung umpisa pa lang, edi ibalik mo yung binawas mo sa asset. Yun yung step number 1 eh. Ibalik mo yung binigay ng gobyerno, idagdag mo ulit sa cost ng asset kasi binawas mo siya nung una. Okay, next, step number 2. And then compute the cumulative additional depreciation that would have been recognized to date in the absence of the grant. Diba? Pag tinagalog, i-recognize mo raw yung additional depreciation na dapat mong i-recognize kung sakaling walang grant na nangyari in the absence of the grant. Bakit, sir? Ano bang nangyari? Kasi the mere fact na binawas mo yung grant sa cost ng asset, ano nangyari sa depreciation expense mo? Di ba nung meron pang grant, mas mababa yung depreciation expense mo. Ina-assume nga ng repayment of grant as if walang government grant na nangyari. So kung ganun ang gusto mong mangyari, definitely i-recognize mo yung additional depreciation na dapat mong i-recognize kung in the first place hindi pumasok yung government grant sa buhay mo. Parang ganun yung gustong sabihin ng approach number 2. So kumbaga obviously magkaiba sila ng approach. Kaya ito ang tama nito nung approach 1 sa DIGG. Sa approach 2 medyo matrabaho ng konti. Kasi nga binawas yung DIGG, binawas yung government grant sa cost ng asset. At huwag kang mag-alala, aalalayan kita sa pagsagot ng approach 1 sa approach 2. Okay, let us apply the concepts of repayment of grants on exercise number 2. So let us read exercise number 2. Brazil purchased a machine for 6 million on January 1, 2019 and received a government grant of 500,000 cash. The machine is to be depreciated on straight line basis over 10 years with a residual value of 500,000. On January 1, 2021, the grant became fully repayable because of the non-compliance with conditions. Ang requirement, what is the depreciation expense for the year 2019 and 2021 using gross and net presentation. Okay, so sige. Tignan natin if we will evaluate the sample exercise. This is a grant related to asset. Tama kasi ang condition is to purchase a machine. It is related to the acquisition of the machine for 6 million. At ang natanggap mong government grant ay cash amounting to 500,000. May residual value yung asset na 500,000 at i-depreciate siya over 10 years using straight line method. Kaya unahin natin yung gross presentation. Kaya pag gross presentation, sabi natin, at grant related to asset yan, nakahiwala yung asset, nakahiwala yung DIGG. So on January 1, 2019, i-recognize mo muna yung binili mong asset, so debit machine, credit cash. And then ipasok mo o i-recognize mo yung natanggap mong grant. Ang natanggap mong grant is in the form of cash amounting to 500,000. And then credit, DIGG muna kasi hindi mo pa naman comply yung condition at wala pang related expense na nare-recognize. Pagdating ng December 31, 2019, syempre magre-recognize ka ng depreciation expense. Straight line method tayo, so ang computation ay 6 million na cost minus residual value na 500,000. I'll repeat residual value na 500,000 ang binawas ko. Baka yung iniisip mong binawas ko yung deferred income. No, hindi yon. Kay residual value na 500. Nagkataon kasi pareho lang yung amount. Divided by the life of 10 years, so ang depreciation expense ay 550. And then accumulated depreciation ng 550. At yung entry na yan, gagawin mo for 2019 as well as 2020. Sa 2021, hindi na ganyan. Kasi syempre meron ng repayment of government grant. Kasi merong karugtong yan eh. Dahil meron ka nang ni-recognize na expense, magre-recognize ka na ng income. At ang income from government grant mo is 500,000 divided by 10 years. Na ganun din, gagawin mo rin from 2019 until 2020. Kaya 2 taon mong gagawin itong entry na to. I'll repeat. Yan. Lagyan natin ng highlighter. Ayan. Ayan. Itong entries na to, ayan na, binilugan ko. Yung entry na yan, gagawin mo for 2 years. For 2019 as well as 2020. Kaya bakit? Ano ba nangyari ng 2021? Pagdating ng January 2021, ano nangyari? The company or the government learned that the company did not comply with the condition, making the grant fully repayable. Kaya ang una mong entry on January 1, 2019 would be the repayment of the grant. At anong approach ang gagamitin natin? Ang approach na gagamitin natin ay approach number 1. But approach number 1 kasi merong balanse ng DIGG. Kaya on January 1, 2019, ang una mong credit ay cash. Siyempre, nag-repayment ng grant eh. Ibabalik mo yung cash na natanggap mo, 500,000. And then debit the balance of DIGG. Bakit 400,000 yan, sir? Kasi di ba ang unang balance niyan 500,000. Nag-recognize ka ng income na 50,000 2019. Nag-recognize ka ulit ng income 2020. So dalawang 50,000, 100,000 yon. So ang balance ng DIGG ay 400,000. And any excess, anong sabi ko kanina, will go to loss on repayment. And actually, napakadali ng concept ng approach number 1 eh. Alam nyo ba kung ano yung loss on repayment na yan? Yung loss on repayment na yan, yan din yung income na ni-recognize mo from government grant eh. Pansinin mo, magkano yung income mo kanina ni-recognize? Ano, di ba 250 yan? So 50 plus 50, ito yun eh. Yan yun eh. Yung loss on repayment, yan yung dalawang income na ni-recognize mo. Kasi nga ang ginagawa mo dito sa repayment ng grant, as if iniisip mo, hindi dumating sa buhay mo yung government grant. So kumbaga, as much as possible, nire-reverse mo o tinatanggal mo lahat ng bakas na iniwan ng government grant. government, sir. Kasi nga nag-move on ka eh. Tama, you are moving forward. If you are moving forward, as much as possible, iniiwan mo lahat ng bakas nung nakaraan. Ay, naging love story na naman to, sir. Hindi. Parang ganun yung gusto kong i-emphasize lang dito. Kasi ang unang bakas dito, syempre, kung nagkaroon ng repayment, ibabalik mo sa kanya yung binigay niya. Pag break kayo, ibabalik mo sa kanya yung binigay niya. Tama ba? Yung 500,000. Tapos buburahin mo lahat ng bakas, lahat ng naiwan niyang alaala, parang ganon. At ang unang-una yung DIGG. Kasi kung gusto mong walang nangyaring grant kung umpisa pa lang, dapat walang DIGG. Magkano yung balance ng DIGG? 400. So tinanggal mo yon. Pangalawang tinanggal mo yung income from government grant. Hindi ka naman pwedeng mag-debit ng income eh. Bakit? Kasi nung 2019 saka 2020, yung income from government grant, sinarado mo na yun kasi nominal account yun eh. Tama? Alam nga naman mag-debit ka ng RE dito. Nagpakahirap ka pa, huwag ka na mag-debit ng RE. I-debit mo na lang yung loss. Kasi yung income na na-recognize mo, i-convert mo lang siya papuntang loss. Kasi nagkamali ka eh. Inakala mong siya na, nagkamali ka. Inakala mong mamimit mo yung condition, pero hindi. So instead na income, i-recognize mo yun, i-reverse mo siya papuntang loss. So, ganun lang kasimple ang rationale ng approach number 1. Hindi ko naman sinasabing mahirap yung approach number 2. Ganyan din yung assumption natin. Basta i-assume mo lang sa repayment ng grant as if walang government grant na nangyari. Kaya lang isipin mo. Anyways, so pagdating ng December 31, magre-recognize ka ng depreciation expense. Same amount ng depreciation expense, which is 550,000. Pero on December 31, may IGG ka pa bang i-recognize? Common sense, malamang wala na kasi wala ka na ng DIGG. Isa mo ipapasok yung IGG mo na yun. Kaya kinakalimutan mo na, ito na naman, inaalala mo na naman. Ito na problema sa atin eh. Nag-move on ka na nga, inaalala mo pa. Pagdating ng December 31, wala nang IGG. Kasi nga, as wala nang government grant eh. Binalik mo na ng buo yung 500,000. So the answer for the requirement would be, kasi ang tinatanong ano ang depreciation expense ng 2019 saka 2021, ang sagot natin would be sa 2019, 550, December 31, 2021, 550,000 pa rin. Hindi nagbago. Okay? Next. Ulitin natin lahat under net presentation. Okay, net presentation tayo. So sa net presentation, ganun pa rin. I-recognize mo yung machine, credit, cash. But this time, dahil net presentation ng grant related to asset, wala ka ng DIGG account kasi yung mismong government grant, ibabawas mo na sa cost ng asset, which is 500,000. And then, pagdating ng December 31, 2019, magre-recognize ka ng depreciation expense. Ang cost mo na lang ay 5.5 million. Minus residual value na 500,000, that would be depreciable amount of 5 million divided by 10 years. So ang iyong depreciation expense ay 500,000. And again, gagawin mo ulit yung dalawang yan for 2 years. Okay na? 2 taon ulit. 2019 and then 2020. Magre-recognize ka ba ng IGG? Nag-recognize ka ba ng income from government grant? Obviously hindi kasi wala namang balanse ng deferred income from government grant. Okay? So again, this would be the entry for 2019 and then for 2020. Kasi ano na naman ang meron sa 2021? Pagdating natin ng 2021, okay, pagdating natin ng 2021, parang natigil nga. So pagdating natin ng 2021, nagkaroon na naman tayo ng repayment of grant. And on 2021, ang gagamitin nating approach ay approach number 2 kasi wala ka namang balanse ng DIGG. Na dalawang step yung approach number 2. Ano yung step 1? Ang step 1 natin, binalik yung PLDT na grant. Ang step number 1 natin is to increase the carrying amount of the asset. Why do I need to increase the carrying amount of the asset? Kasi ibabalik mo na yung cash, tama? Ibabalik mo na yung cash na 500,000. Ganun ulit, iniiwan mo o tinatanggal mo yung mga bakas na iniwan ng government grant. Kasi binalik mo na yung 500,000 eh. Eh nung una, saan mo ba binawas yung 500,000 na yan? Di ba binawas mo sa machine? So kung titingnan mo, itong entry na to, nire-reverse lang niya itong entry na to. Ito yun, no? Tama ba ito yun, no? Wait lang ha, highlighter. Tama ito yung, layo. Ang laki pala, sorry. Kailangan i-erase natin. Eraser, ayan, eraser. Actually, nire-reverse mo lang itong entry na to. Ayan. Ayan o. Ayan yung 500,000, 500,000. Kasi kung titignan mo, since binalik mo na yung grant, binalik mo na yung cash na natanggap mo, then it is appropriate na ibalik mo rin yung binawas mo sa cost ng machine na 500,000. So ito yan. Kaya binawas mo yung cost ng machine, dinagdag mo rather yung cost ng machine na 500,000. So that would be step number 1. Step number 2 is to recognize accumulated or cumulative additional depreciation. Kaya naman kung titingnan mo, because of the government grant, bumaba ang depreciation expense mo ng 50,000 taon-taon. Kasi pansinin mo, diba sa gross presentation kanina, ang depreciation expense 550. Ngayon, nung nag-net presentation ka, ang depreciation expense mo 500,000 na lang. So ibig sabihin, bumaba siya ng 50,000 because of the government grant. At ilang taon yung naapektuhan na yun? 2 taon. Eh di ba binubura mo na nga yung bakas ng grant, kaya nga dinadagdag mo ulit yung additional depreciation expense amounting to 100,000. And then credit accumulated depreciation 100,000. And actually ito yung problema, Sa ibang libro, yung 100,000 na yan yung magsisilbing loss on repayment of grant. Tama, pansinin mo sa gross presentation kanina, magkano yung loss on repayment mo? 100,000. Actually, yan yung loss on repayment sa net presentation. Yun nga lang, mas marami kasing author na ang ginagamit depreciation expense. Kasi by nature, if you will read the procedures na sinasabi ng standard, yan ang kailangan mong i-debit. Kasi sabi niya, recognize additional depreciation expense. So kumbaga, whether depreciation expense o loss on repayment, okay lang kasi pareho lang naman silang papasok as expense sa profit or loss. Yun nga lang, may bearing kasi siya sa question natin. Ang question kasi, ano ang depreciation expense ng 2019 saka 2021? So kanina ang sagot natin 550. Ngayon, ang gagawin natin sa net presentation sa 2019 550 pa rin, pero sa 2021 kung ano yung mare-record mong December 31, 2021 na depreciation expense, ipa-plus mo tong 100,000. So mag-iiba na yung sagot kung nilagay mo diyan loss on repayment of grant. Kaya nga to be safe, ang gamitin natin yung parang mas maraming gumagamit na concept o mas maraming gumagamit na treatment. And that is debit depreciation expense. Wag loss on repayment. Unless tinanong ka ng problem, how much is the loss on repayment of grant under net presentation, tapos wala namang zero. So ibig sabihin, ang treatment niya sa 100,000 loss on repayment, hindi depreciation expense. So again, I'll repeat yung 100,000, yan yung loss on repayment of grant. Nagkataon lang, ginamit natin depreciation expense kasi we are following the requirement of the standard under approach number 2. Okay? So we are done with the accounting for repayment. So now, pagdating ng December 31, 2021, magre-recognize tayo ng depreciation expense. Yun nga lang, unlike sa gross presentation, tuloy-tuloy yung 550. Pansinin mo, yung 550 ng 2019, siya pa rin yung 550 ng 2021. Dito, kailangan nating mag-recompute. Kasi last year, 500,000 lang yan eh. So we need to compute first the adjusted carrying amount. And the adjusted carrying amount ay cost na 5.5 million plus 500,000. Ito yon. Saan galing tong 500,000 na yan, sir? Galing yan. Yan, dito. Ayan o, diba? Nag-plus ka ng 500,000. Next, accumulated depreciation. Magkano ang accum dep mo? Originally, 1 million yan. Saan galing yung 1 million? 500,000 ng 2019, 500,000 ng 2020. Saan galing yung 500? Saan galing yung 100,000, sir? Ito yun, no? Plus accumulated depreciation na 100,000. So ang adjusted carrying amount mo, 4.9 million. Yan na yung subject sa depreciation over remaining life. Tama, yun ang turo sa atin ng PAS 8 kapag nag-a-account ng change in depreciation eh. Yun nga lang, ibawas mo muna ulit yung residual value kasi wala namang sinabing na wala yung residual value eh. So ang adjusted depreciable amount mo, 4.4 million. Okay, divided by the remaining life, which is ang remaining life na lang yan ay 8 years. Ito na yung magic. At pansinin mo, magkano ang depreciation expense ng 2021? Wow, magic. Joke lang. 550,000 pa rin. So ang nangyari, bumalik ka lang sa dati. Kaya kumbaga ganito yun eh. Kapag nag-move on ka, ang ganda ng tinuturo ng repayment sa atin, binabalik mo lang yung buhay mo ngayon sa dati mong buhay nung wala siya. Kasi dumating siya, nagbago buhay mo. So if you are moving on, binabalik mo lang siya sa dati, nung panahong wala pa siya. Which is nung panahong wala pa siya, dapat ang depreciation expense ko, 550. Kaya nung dumating siya, di ba, naging 500. Kaya binalik mo lang ngayon, 2021, dapat 550 yan. And simula ngayong taon hanggang sa mga susunod, 550 ulit yun. Okay? So again, the answer for net presentation, 2019, 550. 2021, ang sagot natin, 650. Kasi pinlas natin ito. Okay? Pinlas natin itong 100,000 na additional depreciation expense. Pero kung ang ginamit nga ng author ay loss on repayment, syempre ang sagot mo ulit 550 for 2021. Okay? So this will conclude our discussion on government grants. So saka natin i-discuss or separate webinar na lang po, i-schedule na lang natin yung ating discussion for borrowing cost. Okay? So for tonight, hanggang dito lang po ang discussion natin, government grant. Kasi again, limited lang naman yung time natin. Unless gusto mong mag-aral hanggang alauna ng madaling joke lang. Siyempre kailangan din natin magpahinga. Kasi yung iba sa inyo, baka may lakad kayo na umaga, so ngayong oras pala nagpapahinga, so I understand naman yun. So separate discussion or separate webinar na lang po yung borrowing cost. Okay? So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much and God bless you all. I hope marami sana kayo natutunan sa ating lecture for today at sana wag yung purong joke lang yung naalala nyo. So I assume yung mga discussion ng concept as well as application ng concept, maalala ninyo. So thank you so much everyone. Thank you so much. So ililipat ko na kayo kay Sir Kim. Sir Kim, nandyan ka pa ba?
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Sir Kim. God bless you all. Thank you, reviewers.